Yes, hello, today we're talking about a sleeper deck, a strong tier 2 deck with one job, to delete Giratina and Gyarados players from existence. This is Gallade EX. If you're looking for a deck that slaps hard, evolves into a menace, and is simple enough for your card-eating cousin Kevin to play, this is it. Let's break it down. Gallade EX combines the raw strength of basic fighting Pokemon with Gallade EX's devastating finishing move to make a deck that wins games while your opponent is still setting up their third broken space bellow. Whether you're facing Giratina, Gyarados, or some other top tier deck, this deck can win games that make other mons cry. Let's talk pros and cons real quick. This deck is a solid counter to tier 1 meta choices like Giratina Darkrai and Gyarados. It provides high damage output with minimal energy requirements. With access to Hitmonlee, you can make devastating bench targeting plays, killing off key mons before they can evolve, assuming you also use Cyrus. Unfortunately, this deck isn't perfect. Gallade EX is a stage 2 Pokemon, so if you can't find Ralts or Kirlia, your soul might just leave your body. Some of your mons also have low HP, making this deck vulnerable to bench swaps. But if you get your pieces, this deck becomes a problem, and you are the problem. So you might be wondering, Sir PP, how do I play this Magnificicante deck? Well, I got you. Here's a deck list to get you started. This deck list comes from the beautiful website that I've been working on with my friend Kata called Pokédex.gg. You should definitely go check it out and tickle the bookmark button so you can stay up to date with the tier 1 meta decks. Without further ado, here's the deck list. You're gonna need 2 Ralts because you want to play Gallade. You're gonna need 2 Kirlia because you want to play Gallade. You need 2 Gallade EX, which is your main win con. It kind of finishes your fights. You're gonna need 2 Hitmonlee. It's the bench bully, kicks like Bruce Lee. You're gonna need 1 Marshadow, backup hitter, mirror breaker, you know, your little gremlin king. You're gonna need 2 Professor's Research, or aka Pot of Greed. You're gonna need 2 red because you're the protagonist. You're gonna need 2 Cyrus because you need Big Daddy Cyrus. You're gonna need 1 Iono. Shuffle the hand, find your pieces, you know, good shit. You're gonna need 2 Pokeball because searching is OP. You're gonna need 1 Pokemon Communicazione, which is also because searching is OP, and you're gonna need 1 Rocky Helmet because I guess, yeah, you're gonna need a Rocky Helmet. And also make sure you're using only fighting energy. Please don't use grass energy unless you're feeling spicy, but seriously, just don't do it. Optionally, if you're having a skill issue with your energy, you can run X speed instead of 1 red or 1 Cyrus. However, be aware that this can hurt some matchups, so consider that before doing so. Also, if you don't like Hitmonlee, you can play Sudowoodo, but I would like you to know this. Sudowoodo is like switching out Bruce Lee for a folding chair. Technically, still works, but not ideal. And here we are. This is a game against Darkrai Giratina, and as you can see, they open Darkrai, which is honestly not great for us. And we open with Ralts and practically nothing else. Luckily, we do have Professor's Research in hand, so we do have access to potentially decent draws. And we do have a Pokeball to, you know, support in case that we need an extra card. Or, like, whatever. You know, like either a Pokemon Communication Com, or alternatively, an Iono if we need to. Anyways, they open pretty much completely solidly, so we're at the mercy of what can we draw and if we can draw anything to actually counter what they're doing right now. So we draw into Gallade EX, which is not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. There have been worse draws, especially in this type of situation. Luckily, we do have Professor's Research, so we use it. And here we draw double Cyrus. But don't fret, these type of games do happen, but it doesn't mean that they're completely unwinnable. A lot of the times you actually really need to play out these games and see how it goes. Now, on their turn, they Darkrai EX us with Nightmare Aura by putting an energy on, and well, that sucks, but it is what it is. And then they Broken Space Bellow to end their turn. So they're pretty much setting up and getting everything ready. Here we draw Pokemon Communication, so that means here we can throw the Marshadow away. And if we do that, we get access to Kirlia. And as long as they don't have Dawn in hand, we don't lose right here and now. So here I'm going to put an energy on Kirlia and just slap him, because honestly, that's what we need to do. It's not ideal, and we can still potentially lose this, but we're, like I said, even if we're at the mercy of the opponent, always play through all of your games. You never know if they've either don't have the right cards or who knows what. Anyways, as you can see here, they pretty much set up Giratina. They don't even bother setting up Darkrai, which means that they don't have Dawn, and that's great. That's what we want. Anyways, here we draw into Hitmonlee. This is perfect because we want to set up a way to actually damage Giratina. this is super huge because in this matchup, really what it comes down to is, can we deal with Giratina? Now, again, we're at the mercy of a lot of cards, so if they have a specific card in hand, we lose. That's just how it goes. They have a Cyrus, we lose in this situation. So as you can see, there's a lot of what-ifs that do play into these games. But that doesn't mean that you give up or you stop playing once you see a win con for your opponent. You just kind of have to hope that your opponent doesn't have said win con. And it's clear to me in this situation, they don't have it. Now, we are worried about them using healing items because we're trying to deal damage to Giratina. And unfortunately, they did heal. However, it's not the end of the world. We did. It's not too much. I do think about Ionoing, but I choose not to. Instead, what we're going to actually do is, considering they have a 6-card hand, Mars them. This allows me to potentially remove any other healing items they may have. It lowers their chances of a Cyrus or a Sabrina. Just essentially, we're just trying to keep the game as winnable as possible. And with our ability to Cyrus them back, with Gallade being at the forefront, we could potentially actually just win the game outright, which is huge. This is what we want. We've put Giratina at lethal position without a red. Unfortunately, though, they Mars us, which is really bad, because if we don't draw anything good, like a Sabrina or a Cyrus, we kind of lose. That's just how this is going to go. Anyways, they're going to swing with Darkrai, which puts us in a position where we have to draw Sabrina or Cyrus. It's just unfortunate, but that's just how this game is going. We were just put in a very unlucky position from the get-go, and that's just how it goes. Anyways, we top deck Sabrina, which is fantastic because it actually puts us now in a winning position just by having Sabrina, being drawn. Because now we're doing a 150, and that's going to kill Giratina. Now, there is still a chance for us to potentially lose this. All they need to do is cape their Darkrai, and they win. If they can do that, then they absolutely beat us. First they have to cape, and then they have to heal. If they can do both, they win. And on top of that, to add insult to injury, they put a Darkrai behind, ping us, and that way they can avoid giving us extra damage, extra energy to deal damage. Now they are healing, but do they have the cape is the real question. They don't have the cape. Then in that case, we win. So as you can see, we're at 50 HP left, but we do have red in hand, which is perfect because it just basically means that now we can just swing for 150 and end the entire game. And there you have it. Gallade versus Giratina Darkrai. Yes, there was a lot of luck involved, but we did manage to win. And that's the game. So, where are you going to pull these cards? What packs do you need to focus on? Well, you can build most of the deck from Space Time Smackdown Dialga. That's where you'll find the Ralts, Kirlia, and Gallade EX. You need to play this Gallade EX deck. Oh, and Pokémon Comunicazione, which you need to play this Gallade deck and not Brick, is also in the pack. Genetic Apex Mewtwo is where you'll find Hitmonlee. If you pull Ralts and Kirlia in this pack, please don't use them. They're not for the deck. Marshadow is from Mythical Island. Big Daddy Cyrus and Rocky Helmet are from Space Time Smackdown Palkia. Red and Iono are from Shining Revelry. And Professor's Research and Pokeball are promos, so if you just play the game, you'll eventually get them. Especially if you just, purchase them for free using your tickets. I don't think I need to explain this, but here we are. So there you have it. Gallade EX, the deck that says no to Gyarados, and maybe later to Giratina. If you're a beginner looking to whack some players for low energy costs, then this deck is for you. With that being said, that's the Widgio. If you enjoyed this deck profile, you can drop a like, you could subscribe, and it would be nice to let me know in the comments what deck you want to see next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a salty day, and I will see you in the next Widgio.